The recent death of actor Corey Monteith was a tragic event, but it's also an opportunity for us to talk with our kids and address a problem, a prominent problem right here in the U.S. Drug and alcohol abuse affecting more and more teenagers and adults. Here to talk with us now, Dr. Gregory Jones, a psychologist specializing in addiction. And Corey's death last week shocked a lot of people, and especially kids who are fans of his in Glee. And I think the most shocking part of it all, if you didn't know Corey's battle with drug and alcohol abuse, drugs and alcohol, he said before, have been in his life since he was about 12 or 13 years old. It's so young.
Unfortunately, so many young people are using drugs and alcohol at a very early age. Corey began using drugs at the age of 13, and he didn't first get treatment until the age of 19.
Do you think that waiting for treatment had an effect in his life here?
It had a detrimental effect on his life, and also on the life of any other youth who is not getting treatment for an addiction. During your teenage years, your mind is still developing, your brain is still developing, and introducing drugs and alcohol can really stunt the development of it, and also have an impact on how you learn how to cope with life. Stressors,
yeah, definitely. And it is shocking to see one of the stats released that more than $600 billion each year in this country are costs related to people dealing with drugs and alcohol, not going to work, committing crimes, things like that. And it's starting at more of a younger and younger age. Is it that our kids are having more problems? I mean, kids have always faced peer pressure, maybe bullying, different things like that. We've all been to high school. It's not always been fun. What's the difference nowadays?
Well, I think there's a lot of differences nowadays. I mean, first off, social media has a huge impact. In regards to bullying, kids used to only be bullied at school. When they got to go home, they had relief from it. They didn't have it going around them. Now when they go home, they turn on their Facebook and it can continue. It turns on Twitter, it can keep going. So for teenagers and kids, that impact can be 24/7 and not having a chance to escape. You also just have a lot more stress, a lot more competition. Getting into college is a lot tougher, getting into a good college. It just creates more stress for kids, students, teenagers, and it's hard to cope with all of that.
Yeah. Let's talk about getting help. In so many cases, like Corey's, let's pull that case again. He had just completed a 30-day stint in rehab with the help of his girlfriend, Leah Michelle, who's also an actress on Glee. And a lot of people say, wait a second, I mean, he just got help. What happened? And for people who don't know, you hear the word addiction thrown around so much as in, can't it be cured? You go to rehab, you get help. Why can't it be cured?
Unfortunately, addictions cannot be cured. It's definitely a misperception. An addiction is for life, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, sex, gambling, an addiction is for life. Your symptoms may not be very prominent, meaning like you're not using or you're not gambling, but the thoughts still come up, the urges are still there, especially when you deal with difficult and troubling times. All of a sudden that is very prominent for you. That's your go-to coping mechanism. So for most people, they can go many years maybe without having use of drugs or alcohol, but come a difficult time in their life, all of a sudden the desire to use can go really high. So
you need help managing it once again.
So I tell everyone, your addiction is for life and you got to treat it that way. If you don't treat it that way, you're bound to relapse. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense, and it's hard for people that are outside of a situation looking in to think, why can't this just happen this way? Logically, but logic isn't always at play there.
No, logic is never at play when it comes to an addiction.
And for people that might want to help someone get help, or even parents that see this and go, gosh, this is someone my kid knows. Corey's death, really affected him. How do I even begin to talk to maybe an 11 or a 12-year-old about drugs?
Despite the fact that this is such a horrible incident that Corey had passed away from an overdose, it is a wonderful opportunity for parents to utilize this, because this is someone that is in many kids' lives. Many kids watch Glee, they turn to that show, they are inspired by it. So to learn more about an addiction through someone that they feel like they know could be a really helpful tool for parents and a great introduction for them to talk about this.
So embrace it. Don't try to ignore it.
Correct. The more you ignore it, the more likely a child could be to use alcohol or drugs. So please have that conversation with your kid. If you're concerned and you're not able to do it, have your pediatrician, have a school counselor, a teacher, a trusted adult, someone who has a positive impact on this kid could really be a great support. referring to an addiction specialist, a counselor, a therapist, anyone could be really helpful in this moment.
Anything, just have the conversation.
Yes.
Dr. Gregory Jones, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Up next on the show, we're going to get a taste of some delicious comfort food with Chef Luda. She's getting ready on the other side of the set. We'll be right back.